when you're comparing a guy who's 6'9" with that skill set, Luke, you can play mythical matchup with anybody in history because he's got. I mean, look, he completely well-rounded himself. He's got everything.
So let's go to the next one here. I'm going to go to you again on this one too. The big question now is, as it always is in combat sports, you get a big win, and then people always say, well, what is next? Now, Eddie Hearn, the promoter of Matchroom Boxing, has a deal with DAZN. Anthony Joshua's deal, according to Brian Campbell, which we'll talk about in just a second, it's not exclusive per se, and all the powers that be are saying, we're going to make it happen. If sometime in the summer, we're going to find a way to get Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury together. Brian Campbell, please go first. What is the likelihood of that? And we'll talk about how big it will be in just a second. But first, let's talk about some of the obstacles to making that happen, such as they exist.
Well, I do want to say, I think it'd be the biggest fight in boxing you can make. The biggest fight in boxing right now is Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury for all the belts. I don't care if you do it on...
Dead serious question is that, and I'm not doing a bit, what sells more pay-per-views? That, which by the way will be in the UK, which will hurt its pay-per-view numbers.
Could be in Saudi Arabia, could be on the moon. I don't care. I think it's still going to...
Mayweather-McGregor too.
See, that's not a real.
It's not real boxing. I understand. I understand.
Okay, touche. Maypac 2 might even eclipse it just on the star.
But to your point, go ahead.
It's not going to happen this year, and we got to wake up to this. It's not going to happen this year because business and money talk. So here's the deal. I think that fight was exceptionally promoted, especially the last 2 weeks, especially fight week, wall to wall, everywhere you look.
I thought ESPN did a phenomenal job.
Every single corner, FS1, ESPN, whatever, it was this fight wire to wire. They did an incredible job. That means you're probably going to see great receipts. Deontay Wilder has 30 days to cash in or to trigger this automatic rematch clause. There's a lot we can talk about here. Wilder took a ton of damage. You know, was the corner right in stopping when they did? We can get into all of that.
We will.
But here's the deal. Wilder's in every single fight. And even though Fury was incredibly dominant and amazing in this fight, that wasn't Wilder. I feel like there's going to be some excuse that comes up, right? He did say after the fight, when saying, I'm not going to make excuses, he referenced some personal problems. There's some feeling of a leg injury. I just feel like something's going to pop up. It won't take away from Tyson Fury's win, but you can go back and watch it, and you did. That's not Deontay Wilder. That's not the Deontay Wilder we know. He took a horrendous beating, but I know the fighter that's inside of him and the warrior, and when you have that style where you could knock somebody out at any time, we're going to see this third fight. The promoters and managers and powers that be are going to make sure of it. You have to believe that at this point. And also, for as great as Fury is, and he's proven now twice in my eyes that he's better than Wilder, Wilder's still in that fight. Wilder's still in that fight in a big way. We're going to see that fight.
He's in that fight in a big way promotionally. And I think some of the obstacles we're going to talk more about it with Anthony Joshua in just a second. But I have to tell you, we'll get to Wilder in just a second, but I really disagree he's in that fight. He looked that way where he was just sort of like a lamb to the slaughter because Tyson Fury made him look that way.
Oh, he got dominated from start to finish.
I'm not saying that Wilder...
Equilibrium shots change fights, as when Anthony Joshua got hit by Ruiz.
I'm not saying a third fight would look exactly the same or that Wilder can't make adjustments. Obviously he can, and you're right. You still got that nuclear power. You never know. And he did land a couple of those on Fury a little bit early. I was like, this could get interesting.
Round. Fury moved with it, but he took...
But there it is. We knew there was a gap in skill before. Mm-hmm. We thought it was this. It is this, dude. It is a major difference in skill. Wilder's got an uphill climb for the third one. But still, if they want it, for folks who are like, why can't they just make it between Joshua and Fury now? What is the contractual situation?
So Joshua fights on DAZN. Ever since DAZN launched, he's been sort of the face, along with Canelo, of what they do. But he's not exclusively tied with them. It was sort of a smart loophole that Eddie Hearn tied in there. So for the idea of if a Wilder-Joshua Super Bowl became so big, they could make it happen. From everyone I asked, from everyone using logic here, the male and female parts still don't come together. And that means DAZN, who came on the board to kill pay-per-view and become this streaming force, how are they going to join up with a pay-per-view provider? You know, it's different when HBO and Showtime came together for Maypac. It's different when Fox and ESPN just came together for this fight. These are two companies that do pay-per-view. DAZN doesn't do that. So for Fury Joshua to happen next, well, first of all, Wilder would have to say no. And if Wilder's saying no to this, then I think you have to have major questions if he's even going to continue in his career, because that would be such a disastrous one loss that, I mean, that's not who Wilder is. I'm saying just on Wilder's reputation and his personality, he's taking this fight. But you would need that fight to be refused. And then personally, I think you would need Anthony Joshua to basically say, hey, DAZN, we had a good run, but I got to go over there to mainstream pay-per-view again.
So,
I know you tried to kill pay-per-view. I got to go over here to mainstream pay-per-view, and we got to make this happen.
Give me give the listeners here and the viewers, give us a plausible scenario of how it could happen. Talk to us about the mechanics of how you make a deal here.
It depends on the backroom money situation. Okay, what we do know is that Deontay Wilder, like last year, was offered a $120 million deal from DAZN for 4 fights, guaranteed 2 of them against Joshua, the generational wealth he was talking about, and he turned that down. Some of that was to sort of be in control of his own career. Like, what if he, blew up and had the opportunity to make a fight like Fury or a third one like Fury? He wouldn't have that control. DAZN would. He gave that up. So for it to happen, unless Anthony Joshua says, sorry, DAZN, I got to go make this money on pay-per-view, I would feel it would have to be a 2-fight deal in which one fight would be on DAZN and a rematch would be on ESPN pay-per-view or whatever the setup was. I don't think you can, unless DAZN tomorrow says, hey guys, I know we tried to kill pay-per-view, I know we're trying to do the streaming thing, but this fight's so big, it's got to be regular pay-per-view, so we're going, I don't think that happens.
How do you do a 2-fight deal, though? I mean, yes, you can trigger a rematch, but like, what if the first fight is either so boring no one wants to see it or so deeply uncompetitive that no one wants to see a second one? You just do it anyway?
Yeah.
Because then the person who gets the second of those 2 fights, or the entity, whether it's DAZN or ESPN, who gets the second of those 2 fights is on the losing end of the deal automatically. Depending how, I guess it would depend on the rev split, right? But still, it's a very difficult case to make.
And certainly the wild card is somebody like a Saudi Arabia who comes in and is just like, I've got $1 billion for you guys to make this fight. That's the kind of thing where you can then go, okay, well then the networks
figure it out.
The networks may not matter as much, it's all kind of gray. But
where should they put the fight? Should be in Wembley, yeah.
It's the biggest fight in England, English boxing history by far.
Oh, English boxing now is hot.
Oh, it's been hot for a few years now. I mean, they did George Groves and Carl Froch in front of 80,000.
No, but I'm saying now you've got in multiple weight classes, you've got real standout star attractions.
I mean, ideally, I guess it'd be there, but if it's there, then it's on at 5 in the afternoon on a Saturday. But that's sort of our East Coast bias here. Who really cares what time it's on, what day it is, what country it is, what planet it's on? Just get it in front of us. We need to see it.
Yeah, it would be amazing just the same. Now, this brings all of us to a question about Deontay Wilder.